The RCMP have arrested a former Royal Bank of Canada employee for allegedly accessing Prime Minister Mark Carney's banking profile. The suspect worked at the branch near Parliament Hill. He allegedly used the bank's technology services as part of a criminal plot. The charges against the 23-year-old include fraud, identity theft, and trafficking in identity information. It also alleged the man accessed a banking profile of a Justin Trudeau. However, RCMP confirms to CBC News that the Justin Trudeau named in court documents is not the former Prime Minister. Let's dig into this with cybersecurity consultant and public speaker Steve Waterhouse. He previously was an information systems security officer for the Department of National Defence. Steve, thank you very much for taking the time.
Good afternoon, Andrew.
How much or how little should we make of this?
We have to understand, yes, we're talking about this subject today because it's a high-profile client that got hit, and its personal information got leaked out of the organization. But it happens so often that nobody is willingly, openly discussing about this topic of the insider threat. And an insider threat is a proper employee who has access for doing his business, his job in the business, to access the information, exchange, maybe give some information to the clients or accommodate a client for his requests and so on. And so it's part of his task, but it goes out of the scope when the information gets leaked somewhere else or to another person or organization without the consent of the client himself or the consent of the organization to exchange this info. So this is the whole problem, and it's been ongoing since we're working with information, whether it was digital or paper-based way back then.
What kind of red flag, or are there red flags for you that the target would be the Prime Minister of Canada?
Could have been. We know just a little information about the intent here, but what we know about the perpetrator is he was asked to get some maybe high-profile or client information to commit fraud. So with the little amount of information that we have at this moment, we can speculate it could have been one of the target that was intended. But if it would have been the case, for sure, maybe the whole cabinet would have been targeted in that same fashion, or other high-profile personalities that has an account at Royal Bank of Canada. So that for me is just maybe a lucky hit, or that one hit that they got out of an important person with a high profile. But definitely the person did a lot of gathering of information, and he was paid to extract this to somewhere else in the world.
Yeah, I should mention, of course, these are allegations brought forward by the police. Yes. Canadians at home may wonder if Mark Carney's banking profile can be accessed. Then what about their own profile? The point being, should there be different levels of security for people?
I don't believe that will be very helpful. I don't understand. Maybe I'm not just purview to how inside of a banking organization they'd have so much processes or many people that would be able to justify the isolation of some profiles. Yeah, this necessarily can be done. But in the end, what will be the threshold of having you seen, let's say your banking profile, Andrew, seen as a high-profile, valued information, and then we'll have to isolate it. And down the road, will it become at one point not as high profile as it used to be, so it will have to be declassified or reclassified. So it will be a hectic way of managing clients. What would be much more useful is what the banking system surveillance program did, which is it witnessed that the bank employee was just consulting profiles without a proper justification, and this is how they were able to get a hook on him and verify that he was in fact extracting information. So a better prevention like that is that way to go. Knowing your employee, knowing what they're supposed to do when they do it, and when an employee signs up for a job, he should expect that electronically his actions will be surveilled. Now, for that to happen, you have to have an organization that is ready for that, have trained technical people in the back end that look at the events that's ongoing, and for that reason, it can be done without having to compartmentalize the information or different users inside of the organization.
The Finance Minister, François-Philippe Champagne, said the story reinforces the need for strong privacy procedures in Canada's banking system. So how would you rate the current privacy regime?
Like many other information sharing that's happening right now, it's really not a good structure, and many, like the banking industry, the medical industry, these are self-fulfilling organizations that if they want to enact a way of doing things, or in this case, a way of managing personal information, they'll do so, and they'll do it under the umbrella of their industry without regard, well, of course, they're considered the applicable laws that are out there, but they may be doing something much more different. Then it will be sectorized, and I call it sectorized because it's going to be different sectors that's going to apply it altogether. But as we know, across the country, we have, of course, the Federal Privacy Commissioner, Mr. Dufresne, that goes every year asking Parliament for more power, more punitive measures that can be applied with when you have cases of data leakage, and he's not listened properly, so the elected representatives does not grant him what is needed to do his job properly. And this has been ongoing for as long as the Privacy Commissioner has been in function. And Canada has one of the least punitive measures in place compared to Europe, compared to a whole bunch of places across the world. And this is one reason why we're seeing sometimes big data leaks happening without any consequences whatsoever.
So basically, it's up to the banks to do more because the governments are not forcing them to do more. Just in short, is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes, it is what I'm saying. Although there's some privacy laws that are present here, and of course, as we know, you have the charter of the bank, which is federally managed. And when you had the project Bill C-26, which is now Bill C-8. It's going to put some not just constraints, but for constraints for the financial institutions, but it's going to bring a little bit more oversight to how they proceed in managing a cybersecurity incident, like the time to report the incident to the authorities, how to manage, how to contact the people that have been implicated in such incidents. So that will, and this is going for all federally chartered sectors like transportation, energy production, telecommunication, and of course the financial services. So if this bill goes through, because it was top of the while we had the election, and then reintroduced, we might find something that will help to bring a little bit more oversight to something that's currently really shady as the way of managing these situations.
Steve, good to talk to you. Thank you. Cybersecurity expert Steve Waterhouse in Montreal.